Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. Welcome. Hit that subscribe button. I love having new people around. Hit that like button while you're down there too. Now, we got She Destroyed Her Life for the Slenderman from Atozy. And if you've never heard of this game, brief. This case, words. This case, little, these two girls, inspired by online lore of Slenderman, they actually went and lured another child to her death. They stabbed her to death a bunch of times, and both of them were sentenced to jail. Now, we get to today, where I've only heard a tiny, sentence or two worth of whatever this is that we're going to get into today. So let's both strap in and be ready.
One of the girls behind the infamous Slenderman stabbing disappeared after cutting off her ankle monitor. Yes, this woman destroyed her life for the Slenderman because at 12 years old, she helped lure her classmate into the woods and stabbed her 17 times to impress the fictional internet character, the Slenderman.
Yeah, she did it and convinced her friend to join in and stab with her. And then when being questioned by the police, her friend basically was just kind of like, yeah, I wasn't involved. It was all her. And then the girl who started it was absolutely psycho in the head too. So I might have to find a link. I probably won't. I'll probably be too lazy and forgetful to add a link to it. But you should definitely, I would highly recommend you go look up some of the interview footage of those two after they got arrested. Because holy shit. It is insane seeing the kids be interviewed like that with such a serious matter that they did, in fact, commit.
I remember when it happened, and I was like, wow, this is probably one of the most messed up stories I've ever seen in my life. But here we are. 10 years
even
later,
worse than you thought.
She managed to run away, and
I don't know how she got out of jail.
Police in Wisconsin say a young woman at the
this
center
isn't the
of
kind of person
stabbing case
you let out.
is now on the run. The Madison Police Department says Morgan Geyser cut off her ankle monitor and left a group home Saturday night. In 2014, Geyser and another child were accused of trying to kill their friend in an attempt to please an online character called Slenderman. All of them were 12 years old at the time.
So how did this recent situation unfold? Well, on November 22nd, Morgan Geyser, she walked out of the Madison group home where she's been living since her release earlier this year. She was supposed to stay there.
She shouldn't have been released. She should still have been in jail. She killed someone. No. You don't get to have freedom after that.
A court-ordered supervision. Instead, she just left and cut off her monitoring bracelet that tracks her location and met up with someone else on the street, and then she disappeared.
Of course she did.
The moment that she sliced through that ankle monitor, the alert went off, and it quickly became a statewide search. Because unfortunately, again, this isn't someone who missed her curfew. This is someone who pleaded guilty to an attempted first-degree homicide at age 12. And while, yes, she was 12 when she did that, but also, hey, let's say we let out the fictional character Chucky out on the street as he turned 18. I don't think anyone would want that. If you're capable of doing something that horrific at age 12, you're still capable at 22, even after you turn 18. I don't know.
You should have eyes on you for the rest of your life because you'll be in jail under guard supervision. That's all it should have ever been. She should have gotten a life sentence for this. Been like, yeah, no. Hey, you want to go out and try to kill someone and impress Slenderman online? No, don't you remember that one girl who's in jail for the rest of her life because she did that? Oh yeah, we shouldn't do that. Not, oh yeah, we should do that and then we'll be out in like a decade. Yeah, we'll do that, totally. No, you don't want to inspire copycats.
Most people don't end up stabbing someone 17 times at the age of 12. But either way, she escaped, and hours passed, and her attorney publicly begged her to turn herself in, saying, we worked too hard to secure her freedom and for her to continue on this path. But unfortunately, Morgan didn't come back herself. She had to be tracked down. Late Sunday night, Madison police confirmed that she was found. She was found asleep in a truck stop in Poston, Illinois, around 150 miles away from Madison, with a grown man. Both were then taken into custody, and the man was a 43-year-old man by the name of Chad Mecca, a guy that she says that she met at church. And I guess police found the two of them literally sleeping behind a gas station. So she went from sneaking out of her group home window to planning a bus trip to Nashville, Tennessee. And then I guess you have this dude who's technically old enough to be her father. He was just released on a citation while she was taken in on a nationwide warrant. And that honestly just makes the entire situation even more weird, because you would think that he would be an accomplice. Who knows, though? Police have not said how.
Depends on how much he's involved. If he's involved in like every way that he was, you know, the guy who was her getaway person, and they had been planning to run away like this, then 100% lock him up alongside her. However, if he's just some random guy that's just like, hey, you going somewhere? Can I get a ride? All right, let's go. Hey, maybe she gave him a little handy dandy on the way there.
How she got out of the group home and how she traveled that far, but they did confirm that she's back in custody and will be returned to Wisconsin. But before we go any deeper on this
hopefully to a jail cell,
about why Morgan Geyser is in the group home to begin with. So first, if you're online in 2014, you probably remember this story. It was one of the most disturbing cases to come out ever. Like, this is probably like the Hall of Fame creepypasta, because it actually happened.
Yeah.
Are you going to put me in prison and I'm gonna
oh my God.
die? Please don't cut off my head.
She did this whole thing. In my eyes and everything I think I say about this case, she definitely was playing some kind of crazy psycho play after she stabbed the girl, because she fully regretted it after that, but it's too late in the moment. She would have been better off playing the, yes, I know what I did was wrong and I'm so sorry, I will never do anything again card, rather than going with this insanity plea. The insanity plea, in my eyes, would have wound you locked up in a mental asylum till you drop dead, basically. Because, yeah, no. This is insanity. This isn't just a kid dancing to music they're making. This is insanity.
Waukesha County, Lenny. I'm transferring over a caller on Big Bend. That's a dead end just south of Rivera. And he came upon a 12-year-old female. She appears to be stabbed.
She appears to be what?
Stabbed.
Stabbed?
Yeah, you heard her right,
Morgan
dispatch.
And her friend, both 12 years old at the time, lured their classmate Peyton Leutner into the woods during a sleepover and stabbed her 19 times. Peyton survived.
Not 17,
thankfully,
19.
but barely. After crawling out of the woods and being found by a bicyclist. When police questioned Morgan and Anissa, they both said the same thing. They did it to appease the Slenderman. And people say the kids are cooked now. No, they've been cooked. Clearly. At least, you know, a small fringe amount of them. Most kids are good. Thankfully, for society's sake. But
as the older end of Gen Z, sadly we have to claim her, and she's the very much younger end of Gen Z or early Gen Alpha. I can't exactly remember which year would line up there, but yeah, she's either tail end of Gen Z or the start of Gen Alpha, and man, both of those generations are fucking cooked, and I'm a part of one of them.
Still, think about how bizarre that sounds. An internet boogeyman influencing a real-world violent act. Like, the news acted like the creepypasta was the apocalypse, but to understand this case, you have to understand who the Slenderman actually is. It's wild that the Slenderman is basically this, like, ancient internet history now, because honestly, that's kind of like what I grew up on the internet.
Mean,
2014, I was
Slenderman was just a game in reality. It's just a game where you were collecting pages. That's it. You were trying to stay away from the horror guy with the multiple arms and the tall, slender figure. The Slender Man.
We grew up playing Amnesia, Slenderman, and all these games. But at no point did I ever go, oh, better stab someone to appease the Slenderman, nor did I think anyone else in the world did, because, you know, this case is an anomaly, to put it lightly. But anyway, Slenderman, one of the most played horror games of all time, and then obviously the figure went way further than just being a game. It became a creepypasta. I think it got a really bad movie on it as well.
It did get a bad movie.
Became like some weird folklore on top of that. It's safe to say the Slenderman is quite the rabbit hole, but it was originally created in 2009 on the Something Awful forums during a simple Photoshop contest. A user named Eric Knudsen, who went by the screen name of Victor Surge. He posted eerie, doctored photos that showed a tall, faceless figure lurking behind groups of children. But from there, the internet took over and treated him like a group horror project, building the character past the original posts. Fans layered on powers, backstories, sightings.
The internet's where things go to thrive.
I don't think anyone feeding into these stories or helping build onto this character would ever think that this would happen in real life. because of this character. But the character then spread through creepypasta sites, Reddit threads, Tumblr posts, and so on and so on. He basically is the first crowdsourced urban legend of the internet, essentially a digital boogeyman. And obviously, what made the character so mainstream was that extremely popular horror game.
I said no. Morgan said, don't be afraid.
Yeah, this girl, the friend here, not Morgan herself, the one who's this follow-up video, his entire thing, this case is on, of her escaping. No, the friend here, I think, is far more innocent than everything else. Not 100%, but far more innocent than the other chick. The other girl is fucking crazy and needs to be locked up forever. This girl just needs to never go near the other girl again.
I'm only a little kitty cat, and then lunged for Peyton. The ballistic.
What do you think she meant by that? Don't worry, I'm just a little kitty cat.
She said that she was gonna draw cat whiskers on her face.
Fun.
She became a proxy, and that would be her catchphrase. Like, was Jeff the killer and go to sleep.
Okay, so the girls thought they were going to become proxies for the Slenderman. Yeah, throw him under the jail. I don't care how young, just throw him under the jail. We don't need them in society. Society is better off without people LARPing as proxies for the Slenderman stabbing people. But in this context, a proxy is basically a human servant who acts on the Slenderman's behalf. In the stories, proxies might stalk people, carry out violent tasks, bring victims into the woods, or act as the Slenderman. So that's why, in this case, police say the girls actually believed they were becoming proxies to prove their loyalty to the Slenderman. But Morgan eventually pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree intentional homicide, but avoided prison due to mental illness. A judge ordered her to secure a mental health institution where she stayed for nearly 7 years. In January of this year,
it's not nearly long enough. She should have been there a lot longer. She should have been there for decades. This should be one of those people that all of a sudden you come back to find that they're like 75, 80 years old, and you're like, where have you been your whole life? Locked in the mental institution because I'm crazy. And then you're like, oh, makes sense. Bye. And then you move on with your life.
A judge approved her conditional release. She moved into a supervised group home in Madison, but still had to wear a GPS
Didn't seem
tracker.
like it was a very good group home.
And left the facility entirely, which obviously raises the question,
no security
why
there.
Did she leave? Her lawyer doesn't know, and neither does her supervision team or police, so no one really understands what her plan was here. I just know that Peyton, the victim who managed to survive in 2014, probably felt extremely freaked out to find out that Morgan was actually out on the run. Because I feel like that thought might have come to mind like, oh, does she actually think she's going to go try to finish the job or something?
Yeah, literally. That's what I would
Peyton
think.
Was probably not even
like,
until they actually caught Morgan. So that's crazy as well, because you would think the victim would be one of the first people they would call to be like, yo, maybe, definitely make sure your doors are locked at night.
Just a trick.
While playing hide and seek, then came Anissa's command, and Morgan attacks Peyton with a knife.
Morgan said, just don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat, and jumped on top of Bella and stabbed her repeatedly.
And do you remember when it started?
Kind of. I didn't feel anything because my body was in shock. So
I mean, you were 12 being stabbed.
Slower. Like, we're going to go get help.
Did she try to get up?
Yeah, she tried to get up. She said that she couldn't see, she couldn't walk, and that she couldn't breathe.
But as soon as police announced that Morgan was missing, people started asking why she was released in the first place.
Yeah,
and the
she
answer
should still be in
to how
jail.
The conditional release works.
Yeah, I want to know who the judge is here. That's what I need to know. Who's the judge who said, yeah, less than 10 years was a good amount of years. Less than 10 will be fine. She only tried to kill a kid as a kid. No. Not at all.
So after almost 7 years in a mental health institution, her doctors said that she was doing much better. And they told the court that her symptoms were under control and that she was no longer a danger to herself or others. And the judge agreed after reviewing the medical reports and hearing from the experts. But this doesn't mean that Morgan suddenly got full freedom. Her release came with rules. She had to wear a GPS monitor, follow her treatment plan, and take her medication, and live in a supervised group home with staff watching over.
Don't think so.
I guess the idea with this
I don't think the staff was watching very closely. But if it, ideally, in a utopia, this idea works. Newsflash, we don't live in a utopia, we live in a more dystopia. It's not quite dystopian, where things are all bad and everything sucks. We're not in a utopia where things are perfect and everybody can just be, rehabilitated over time. You just gotta be there. Like, no, not everybody can be rehabilitated. In fact, there's about 2% of the population that should just be incarcerated forever.
Conditional release is to help people return to a somewhat normal life while keeping the community safe. But, after that, Morgan cut off her bracelet and disappeared. So did they judge her correctly? Doesn't look like it. And obviously a bunch of people pointed out, hey, if she can plan a murder at 12, then she was absolutely capable of planning an escape at 23. Either way, this was a pretty big system failure. But body cam footage was released after she was found when she gave a false name, showing that she was actively trying to hide from police. So clearly, she didn't want to get caught.
So what's your last name? No what?
I don't want to give you my name.
Okay, well then we're gonna arrest you. We're gonna take you an ID. We're gonna hold you an ID at the station. So you don't want to obstruct an officer. Give me your name and date of birth. You're not wanted for murder, right?
Right.
You're not wanted for murder, right?
What's your last name?
Grease.
How do you spell it?
I-E-S.
I-E-S?
Mm-hmm. No, G-R-I-E-S.
Okay.
You're not wanted for murder, right? That is like
for real
right there. But obviously, she was found. My first question is, how was she able to just cut off the GPS monitor without a quick response? Because that's a pretty big alert when she cuts them off. And
yeah, when you remove a monitor, I would assume that thing all of a sudden is like, whoop, boop, 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 boop. Last known location, everybody alert here now. Or, hey, this person's monitor broke. They're only supposed to be at this building, so if you see them anywhere else, arrest them on the spot. Like, nothing happened. She had a couple days away.
My second question would be, how is someone who's under full supervision able to just bounce? Like, was someone asleep, distracted, or was the place just understaffed? Like, did they literally have
probably
one of those,
understaffed
cartoon security moments where it's like some like fat dude who's sleeping and she just like kind of like lurches out?
Yeah, I hope so. I fucking hope so. I hope there's a moment like this, and I want to watch Atozy do that again.
Some like fat dude who's sleeping, and she just like kind of like lurches out past him, like, and then just like bounces from the entire facility. I don't know.
For real.
The whole thing
I think
just
that's
seems,
exactly how it went
fairly
down.
Comical now that she's actually been caught, and thankfully didn't hurt anyone else.
Yeah.
But my final question is: was this escape something spontaneous or like extremely planned? Like, was this like a mental health episode that she had and just bounced, or has she been plotting since she was released to go out on the run? And that's probably the question that her legal team's trying to get in on to figure out where she's going next. Because if they can prove that this was a moment of mania or something impulsive, then the results might not be as bad for her. But if all this was planned, and obviously there was a person with her, so it could be planned, that doesn't look good. Either way, I
go back to a cell
are over, at least for now.
Go hang out there for a long while.
Release, not probation. The consequences are pretty harsh. But the most likely outcome is that her release will be revoked and she'll be returned to a more secure institution. And it's also possible she could face new charges if police believe she fled while trying to avoid them. So in the worst case, she could be seen as a continued risk and kept in institutional care forever. Her own attorney hinted at this possibility when he said, "We worked too hard to secure her freedom for her to continue on this path." In other words, she was incredibly close to rebuilding her life, and then this decision might have just completely collapsed that.
We just heard the news that Morgan has walked away from the group home that she was housed at. Obviously, it's in her best interest to turn herself in immediately and not continue with this course of action. We don't know any of the facts about what happened or who might have assisted her, but certainly if there is somebody who's assisted her, that person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If anybody has contact with Morgan, hears from her, or if Morgan happens to see this, turn yourself in. Do not continue to remain on the run like this. It is not in your best interest to handle this matter that way.
Either way, she's now captured again. If something else interesting happens with this case, I'll probably cover it. So if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.
Nuts. This whole case, the Slenderman stabbing part, the escape, everything. There goes her parole. Not a classmate, one of her best friends that she was stabbing. Yeah. Woohoo! Yeah, as a Wisconsinite, we really sure are living up to the only famous for beer, cheese, and football and serial killers tagline. I'm pretty sure the creepypasta came before the game. Yada yada. Slenderman is kind of a red herring. If it hadn't been Slenderman, it would have been something else. Yeah, she is crazy and would have tried to come up with something as a excuse to murder someone. But yeah, I've enjoyed this. I hope you have too. Hit that like, subscribe if you're new, and get out of here. See you later.